God had already placed in me the time and the space to write. My career as a college professor, that was part of what I had to do. I had to write. I had to write articles. I had to write emails a lot. I had to write presentations. I had to develop curriculum. Before I became a professor, I was doing those things as a K-12 educator. Hi everyone, Vernita here. The Brilliant Solution is where we are talking about life and business strategies and skills from a biblical perspective. You are in a series where we are talking about how to transform your frustrations into financial forward momentum using 6 skills. And this is skill number 2. Be sure to go watch the introduction video where I talk about how spilling your tea is biblical and it can lead to wealth in a way. And then I lead into the 6 skills that you need to develop in order for that to happen. And in video number 1, we talked about the first skill set, which was mindset. So go look in that video. And then today we're going to talk about the second skill set, which is writing. Now, mindset sets the foundation. So I want to say the rest of these skills, you can have them, but you won't get to the level for financial forward momentum and fulfillment. I could have added that as well, because it's not just about the tangible resources, but it's a whole abundant, fulfilling life. But you won't be able to put those skills to use or operate at the highest level that you can without having a solid mindset and constantly working on your mindset. So don't think mindset is a one and done skill. Every time you go up a level, your mindset has to supersede that level so you don't fall backwards. So your mindset always has to go before where you want to be. If not, you'll find yourself self-sabotaging, doing all the things, and it end up staying stagnant or falling backwards. And we don't want that to happen. So I want to talk to you about the second skill. And if you don't know, I have notes that I actually do follow to keep me on track and to make sure I provide as much value as I can in a short amount of time, because I do want to keep these short, and then to make sure that I said stay on track. All right. So we're talking about writing and why is that important in the business and entrepreneurial skills, entrepreneurial space, because words can make the world go round. I was already planning on talking about these skills, but how I used the first video, I talked about Ms. Risa Tisa. And if you don't know, then just go look it up or go watch the very first introduction video I did. Now, I'm not sure if she did all of these skills, but I can see how things are starting to unfold for her and where these skills are taking place. And I believe there was talk about her maybe writing a book or some type of written story. So understanding how, if you just focus on the skill set of writing, that the things that have been frustrating you in life, if you figure out how to write about them in a way, they can lead to wealth, or at the minimum, a financial turnaround of where you currently are. And so I personally know about this skill set, and it's been it was underused and underdeveloped. Now, all the skills that I'm talking to you about, I personally already had them. I use them in my professional space. I didn't understand how they worked in the business space. I got a lot of coaching around these skills that I'm sharing with you. I invested heavily in these skill sets. So now I really know what I'm talking about. This is not just me saying, oh yeah, this is what I did, but now I see the benefits of how they work in business as well. So 2 different experiences that I'm sharing with you in an amount of time. So I'm not just making this up. So when we're writing, I know for me, God had already placed in me the time and the space to write. My career as a college professor, that was part of what I had to do. I had to write. I had to write articles. I had to write emails a lot. I had to write presentations. I had to develop curriculum. Before I became a professor, I was doing those things as a K-12 educator, which was beyond the scope of just teaching, because I was always involved in different parts of an organization. Wherever I am, I never stay in one part. So I learned how to write curriculum at a state level and a national level. And one of my curriculums, I don't know if they're doing it now, but it went to an entire school district, and I was just I'm like, I think this would be a good idea. Could have been getting paid for that. So be careful what you're writing, even for these jobs. That's your intellectual property, because that is money that is taken out of your bank account and what you can do. God had already put me in a place to develop these. Like I said, K-12 educator, I was just doing it like, okay, when I became a college professor, I really honed those skills and learned how to write in different formats and styles. Well, actually, when I became in my doc program, because that's all we did was write. And then I started doing all this writing, like I said, publications, emails, presentations, grants, and things like that. Writing was always a part of something I did. And all of that was well before I wrote my first book. So a lot of people just jump straight into write a book. And yeah, you can write a book, make sure you do it the right way, but writing takes many different pathways. So you may have the skill of writing now and you may be overlooking it because it's something that you do just naturally, or you may have a desire to do it but you're only focused on one pathway when there are so many different avenues for you to write. And we're asking God, to help me. I need, to open the floodgates. And he was like, I gave you the key to open the floodgates is with your with typing. Well, typing is writing, but some people are literally making money writing scripts and showing people how to do that. So that's why I wanted to start with mindset first, because when you open up your mindset or work on your mindset and develop it, you'll see these other possibilities that you weren't even aware of. So, in case you are, I'm saying so a lot, in case you are wondering, is writing biblical? I do have some scriptures for you. But before I share any scriptures for you, if God thought to have man inspired to create the words and write them down, why you don't think you should be doing that too? Or why do you need actual scriptures when we literally have the Bible that were God breathed words and he inspired man to write them or chisel them out or however they translate it? So that's just something for you to think about. So as I look up these scriptures, let me see, if I have some time, I'll go through all of them. But if not, I'll figure out a way. If you really want them, comment below and I can email them to you, get on my list, and I can send you these scriptures. But I encourage you to do your research as well. So as I look up the first scripture, I want you to start thinking about, what can you write about? What has been frustrating you in your life that you can write about? Ms. Risa Tisa, even if she didn't do the 54-part series about Who Did I Marry, there are some people who have written novels about their story. There are some people who've written blog posts about different things that are frustrating them. And it doesn't always have to be something that traumatic. I've seen some people generate income because they've been frustrated the way the coffee industry, I love coffee, so yes, I know about that. The way the coffee industry is operating, or the types of the way beans are sourced, and they write about that because that's something that frustrates them. You don't just write about any and everything. There's a way to write, but just start opening up your mindset and looking at the skill of writing and seeing how you can develop it. So the first scripture I want to share with you is in Deuteronomy 17 verses 18 through 20. And I'm reading it out of the King James Version. It says, "And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests of the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear the Lord his God, to keep all the words of his law and these statutes, to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel." Now we can go through the whole backstory of that, but just off the surface level, he wrote down things to keep in memory. That beyond trying to get wealth, start writing things down and get them out of your head. Okay, whether it's ideas, thoughts, things to do, because you got to free up your mind if you want to go forward and get momentum. You got stuff hanging around in your mind, so just write stuff down if you don't take anything else I said from that. But also writing laws, or writing your knowledge down, or writing strategies down, or plans in place, so that you can remember them, you can go forward, and then that it'll keep you focused, and then maybe for other people to read along the way. If depending on what you write, this man was a king. He didn't technically have to do all that, but he took it upon himself to do it. So why wouldn't you do it? Another scripture I'm gonna skip over that one because a lot of us know that from Habakkuk 2:2. So I'm going to go to Romans 15:4. Well, I didn't write anything next to it, so it is King James. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So again, what I said, if the scriptures were written for our hope, everything pretty much was done in the Bible is for us to model. So why wouldn't we write things for the hope of other people later on down the line? That's just one way to do that. The other scripture I want to read is a list of them. I'm going to keep this short. The one I want to read, I'm going to end on Psalms 45, verse 1, and I'm going to read that out of the Amplified version. Okay. So this one says, my heart overflows with a good theme. I address my psalm to the king. My tongue is like the pen of a skillful writer. Now he is talking about speaking, but a skillful writer. This, I want to show you that writing is also a skill. So some people can say, oh, I can just write. But if you want to write in a way for financial forward momentum, there are certain ways you have to write. Start thinking about writing as a skill. Find ways to develop your writing. Like I said, I invested heavily on how to write both in the professional space and in the world of business, because I'm like, oh, you can just write, but there are different ways to write, and it's not always what you think. It's not always just a book. Writing is a lot of different avenues and pathways. Okay, make sure you do that. Like I said, what I want you to think about is, what can you write about? What are some avenues and pathways that you may have overlooked that you want to develop? Stop always looking at, well, is this a natural gift that I have? Like if you're doing it or not doing it. The reason why I say that is because you may have talent and skills that you were naturally born with, but you haven't developed them. All the gifts aren't developed. God deposited them inside of us, but it's up to us to develop, cultivate, and then bring them forward to grow them. So just because you may not have ever written anything, you won't know if that's really what you're supposed to do until you start doing it. And then if it's not, he will course correct you, but you have to start something. You have to start on this journey and dig up and cultivate and till the soil, so to speak, so you can understand. But I know for sure that writing is a skill set that everyone needs to develop in some capacity, so that way you can have financial forward momentum. Okay, so that was part 2 of how to transform your frustration into financial forward momentum. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe for part 3. This is a 6-part series. Well, it's technically 7 parts because I did a longer introduction, but there are 6 skills that I'm going to share with you over this course, so that you can see, like, how can I do all of this and gain momentum. It all does go with the introduction of where I talked about, is spilling your tea biblical, and can spilling your tea lead to wealth? And it sure can, and I believe it's through these 6 skills. So the first skill was mindset, and today we just wrapped up the skill set of writing. All right, so thank you so much. And if you like this vibe, go ahead and subscribe so that you can be notified for part 3, and I will see you on the other side. Bye.